Hello, and welcome back to the Soprano podcast. I'm your podcast host, and my name is Heidi. And I've tried to record this intro a couple of times now. I feel a little bit strange because I just got some very terrible news. And I will not be disclosing this news because it is not my news, but it does involve my family, and it is very upsetting news to hear. So I have gone back and forth about recording this podcast today, but I felt as though it would be a disservice to not record when I have only 10 episodes left, and then I'm going to be taking a indeterminate break. So here we are today. I did have something that I wanted to talk about before I got this news, literally like 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. Could have been 15 minutes ago. Don't really have a concept of how long ago I got it. So I did want to speak to you guys today about something that is very important to the arts community, and I think that it should be talked about in a big way. Like, we should be pushing to just talk the hell out of this, because basically what has happened is today, on Wednesday, March 3rd, there has been a law passed or something, some kind of thing that has happened that, with like COVID restrictions and stuff, essentially things have been lifted for the arts, which you might be saying, well, I mean, my kids are already back in school and my kids are doing sports and they're doing basketball and wrestling and, all these things, they're already doing that. So like, why hasn't it been doing that for the arts? Well, that's a really good question. I don't know why the arts have been neglected. I literally couldn't tell you, but large places for performances like the Met and, opera houses around the world, Broadway, all of these places have been shut down for a year, some over a year if they shut down earlier. But yeah, these places have had nothing going on. They've got nothing. And sports like basketball and football have been reinstated and people are out there. Professional athletes are out there. So why are the professional athletes that are on the Met stage not allowed to go back to their field? Like, that has always perplexed me. And so now, today, we have seen that the gathering limits beginning April 2nd, according to, let's see, where is this? According to Governor Cuomo's press briefing today, there has been a reopening change. So they're supposed to be reopening events, arts, and entertainment venues at 33% capacity, which means up to 100 people indoors and 200 people outdoors. So, with attendee testing, capacity increases to 150 people indoors and 500 people outdoors. Social distancing and face coverings still required by all attendees. So, what this means is that we can go back to having concerts and recitals and operas and scenes and all of the things that we have been missing. Or so you would think. I hope that we can use this and act quickly on it as artists and as people who have been deprived. You know what I mean? I hope that people are not complacent with video creations, if that makes any sense. I know people are very much into like video auditions now and video recordings and spliced together videos of choral ensembles and things like that, but I just plead with my fellow musicians, can we please go back to singing together? God, like, it's just, I'm like getting emotional about it because I can't even tell you how much that means to people. We do not want these virtual interactions anymore. And they're lifting the limits. A lot of people are getting vaccinated. We're trying our best, and we need to start reviving the hope, because I feel like, personally, like the past couple of weeks or the past couple of months, I don't know what's been going on. Maybe it's been the weather or whatever, but people have been just exhausted and tired and sad. And I've heard it from a lot of people. I've heard it from my friends and my family and my, employers and my coworkers, my colleagues, everyone. It feels very surreal. So I hope that I can speak for a lot of people, and I know that this is very early, and I know that this is a difficult decision for a lot of institutions to make, but yeah, so I just hope that we can get it to that place as safely. Of course, that's the first priority, but as quickly, which is like a mental health priority. I know we've been prioritizing physical health first, obviously, but as someone who really feels as though this is the right move to safely do these types of things in person again, I feel that that's the right choice. I hope that administrations and teachers and, people who are in this field, performers, I'm sure they're on the same page as me, but I don't want to speak for everyone, because, people might not feel safe. So that's just how I feel about that. If you have any sort of feedback or comments, feel free to leave it down below. I apologize if you are in my same scenario and you feel as though we've been neglected in terms of the way that people have been bringing back things. They've been bringing back sports, they've been bringing back other types of in-person events, and they've neglected the arts. But this is not the first time that we've been neglected in terms of, money or attention or whatever. So it's not the first time that we will overcome that, and we will still be able to do what we need to do. I'm convinced, I really am, that there is a renaissance on the horizon. I think that there's going to be some major changes happening, and I think that that's something to look forward to in terms of the arts. This is going to be a little bit of a short podcast, you guys, because I keep seeing texts from my family, and I feel as though I need to be with them right now a little bit. So we're going to do that. I'm going to read you a little story, because I didn't read to you yesterday. So hopefully we'll learn something, and we'll take something away from our segment here, our favorite and our only segment, except for the dogs barking. A minute sketch of great composers. So every day, besides yesterday, we read a sketch of a dead white guy. And here we are today. We have Giuseppe Verdi. I was super pumped about this, and now I feel like I'm less pumped because of all of these scenarios that are going on. Also, if you're wondering what that sizzling sound is, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I'm cooking some vegetables, okay? It's 7:45 p.m., and I've been teaching, and I had lessons and coachings, and I was working all day, and I need some dinner after this, okay? Okay, is that okay? Can you deal with the sizzling? Okay? Okay, so his subtitle here is King of Italian Opera. Born 1813, died 1901. Perhaps the only violent act of Giuseppe Verdi's serene life was to smash the spinet on which the village priest was teaching him to play when it failed to reproduce the chord he wanted. That was when he was a very small boy in Berreto, Parma, where he was born October 13th, 1813. An acolyte in the village church when the smashing took place. A few years later, he was playing flute and clarinet in the cathedral, and at 11 he became organist. Damn. He received never more than 15 cents monthly for these services, which he performed conscientiously, although he had daily to plod 3 miles each way to and from school at Busseto. Finally, however, his townspeople rewarded his talent and industry by presenting him with a scholarship under Saletti in Milan. His opera Oberto, composed in 1838 in the first flush of happiness after his marriage, so impressed Mirelli, impresario at La Scala, that he enthusiastically commissioned Verdi to write 3 more, the first a comedy, but, alas, a fever which carried off his wife and 2 babies transformed the comedy into a tragedy and a failure. Oof. It was several distracted years before the friendly instance of Morelli induced him to try again. Nabucco, produced in 1842, was notable chiefly because he married its prima donna, Giuseppina Strepponi. I Lombardi and Attila, sorry, I'm an idiot, which contains the rousing song Thou Shalt Have the Universe, Let Italy Be Mine, made him a national hero hardly less potent in politics than in music. More tunes from Errani, Rigoletto, La Traviata, and Il Trovatore, Un ballo in mascherca, La forza del destino, have been ground out by street organs and whistled by public unconscious of their source than any other melodies in 2 decades. Aida, commissioned by the Khedive of Egypt, and produced on an imperial scale with live elephants and all of the trappings of the state, made operatic history in the magnificence of its production as well as its music. The grand old Italian man of opera, like a fine wine, mellowed as he aged. In his later works, the stately Requiem Mass for Manzoni and the operas Aida, Otello, and Falstaff, his flowing melodies are enriched by an increased command of the resources of the orchestra, possibly in response to Wagner's influence, to be imitated in its turn by subsequent Italian opera composers. When, on January 27, 1901, he died peacefully in his villa, he, like Rossini, left instructions dedicating to the support of less successful confrères the fortune of his making. Huh. That's nice. Not that he died, but that he left instructions to support the people who made him who he was. We should all do that. I feel like that's important. Good old Verdi, am I right? I will never sing Verdi, but maybe someday. Who knows? Anyway, you guys, yeah, I really should go. Yeah, I've got a bunch of text messages. Sorry if this podcast was a little bit sad or a little bit removed. I do feel that way right now. I feel a little bit strange, but this is something that, you know, I don't necessarily want to share on the podcast, again, because it's not my business, even though it does involve my family. So, I hope you understand, and I hope you can respect that boundary. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Today was a little bit of a strange day. I had a little bit of a weird time in a lot of my activities today. It kind of flew by, but not in a great way, if that makes any sense. Yeah, man. Hoping for better luck tomorrow. I gotta. And I also have a weird stuffy nose. Can you hear it? Have you been thinking that to yourself this whole time? Like, oh, she sounds stuffy. Because I am. I was like sneezing earlier. I'm convinced it was because I emptied my vacuum. When you look at your vacuum and you're like, oh my God, what is living in there? And you're like, I should empty it. And you're like, you know what? The responsible thing would be for me to go and empty it outside. But you're lazy and it's cold out and you empty it in your kitchen garbage. And then every time you throw something out in your kitchen garbage, a bunch of dust goes everywhere. And you're like, why do I do this to myself? And you're like, because you weren't thinking of your future self. You were thinking about your present self. And now here you are in your future and you're suffering. So I'm convinced I'm a little stuffy because of all the dust in here. My nose has felt like it's been like burning on the inside. Like it doesn't feel like I'm ill or anything by any means, but it does just kind of feel stuffy and like allergy-y, you know what I'm saying? And I don't have any Claritin or anything like that, but I'm stuffed. I'm stuffed up. What the heck? Ugh. All right, you guys. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave my stuffy nose as the little nightcap to this podcast. So you're welcome. You're welcome for that. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you're new to this podcast and this was the first one that you've ever listened to, I highly encourage you to go listen to other ones, because while this podcast is very much a reflection of my daily life, sometimes days are a little bit less interesting than others, and sometimes days are not remarkable and I don't have anything groundbreaking to share, and sometimes that's okay, because this is a long-term project. I'm not trying to put all my eggs in one day. I'm not trying to put all my eggs in one basket on one day. So we just deal with whatever we get for the day, and we live our life accordingly. So I hope you all enjoyed this podcast. This, of course, is the Paper Soprano podcast, and I am your host, Heidi Schneider. And I hope you have a wonderful... Oh, wait, hold on. I have to tell you to subscribe, right? That's what YouTubers do. I'm a YouTuber now. Subscribe, comment, like this video if you want. I don't care. I appreciate you, even if you don't do any of those things. So, there you go. Bad YouTuber, but I'm just here to have a chat. Now, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, whenever you happen to be listening to this podcast episode. And I really appreciate you being here. So, thank you. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay, love you, mean it. Bye.